pelvic limbs. So the pelvic limb, we're going to start on the popliteal. So the popliteal is going to be right back here. You actually feel it. It's kind of the size of a grape. Just back in there. Then we have the tensor fascia latae. It's going to be located in the quadriceps and the bicep femoris. It's going to run from the ilium cranial wing to the femoral fascia and the lateral portion, and it flexes the hip joint and extends the stifle. So we're looking at this muscle being right around here. And again, it's going to flex the hip joint. So it flexes the hip joint and extends the stifle. So we're looking kind of at like this motion. The gluteal muscle, so it's 3 parts. We have the superficial, which is in the caudal middle gluteal. We have the medial, which it runs it's cranial to the superficial, and we have the deep, which is by the medial gluteal. So we have all parts of those. They're going to abduct the limb and extend the hip. So they're all going to be right around here. And again, it's going to abduct the limb, so bring the limb out and extend the hip. We have the bicep femoris. The bicep femoris is the largest muscle in the hind leg. In the caudal aspect, we have the pelvic. It's going to be in the pelvic and ischiatic tuberosities, going to the tuberocalcaneus, to the proximal tibia, intersecting at the patella. So it is going to run from the ischiatic tuberosity, which is right here, and it's going to run down right around here to the proximal tibia and the patella. And it's going to flex the stifle and extend the hip joint. So if it flexes the stifle and extending the hip joint and the tarsal joints. So like this. The semitendinosus muscle is going to be in the medial bicep femoris, in the hind leg, and it lies in the ischiatic tuberosity to the tuberocalcaneus and tibia. So it's going to be longer than the semimembranosus muscle. So it's going to run from about here, and then it's going to run down all the way this way. And it's going to flex the stifle, extend the hip joint and tarsal joints. So it's going to flex the stifle again here and extend the hip joint and tarsal joints. So we have the semimembranosus muscle. It's going to be in the hind leg, between the bicep femoralis and gracilis, between the ischiatic tuberosity and tibia and femur. So we're going to have it running here to down this way. So it's going to be in front of the semitendinosus. It's going to run down this way, and it's going to run just into the tibia and femur. So we're going to be about there. And flexes the stifle and extends the hip. So same thing, flexing the stifle and extending the hip. So next in the pelvic limbs, we have here. The pectineus muscle, so it's going to be in the pubis and femur, and it's going to be just down here. You can see that. It's going to run from the caudal acetaminum and pre-pubic tendon to the distal caudal femur. So we're looking at it running around here. And it's going to abduct the limb. So it'll bring the limb out like this. Like as if he was falling on the ice and splitting his legs apart. The quadriceps femoris, we're going to have on the hind leg, it's going to be on the femur. There's 4 heads. 3 of those heads are going to be on the proximal femur, so closer to the body, sort of here, and 1 head on the rectus femur, and it goes into the tibial tuberosity. So it's going to run down this way, and it's also going to abduct the limb. Then Oh, sorry, it's not going to abduct the limb. It's going to extend the stifle and flex the hip. So extend the stifle and flex the hip. We're looking at this kind of motion. The gastroenius muscle, it forms most of the calcaneus tendons. It's a very superficial muscle. We're looking at the calf here, and it's going to go in the calf, caudal to the tibia and fibia, and goes from the tuberosity of the femur to the medial and lateral supracondyle. So down here, and it flexes the stifle and extends the torus. So just gonna bring it up again. Something like that. Okay, and then we have the digital extensors. They're all going to be in the phalanges, and they're going to also be in the extensor fossa of the femur. So they're going to be down here. The flexors, and they're going to bring the feet or the toes out. And then we're going to have the extensors, and the extensors are going to be on the back end here, and they'll flex the torus and extend the digital joints. Pause there.